Hey there! Welcome to Middle Age Crazy, the show that proves being an adult doesn't have to suck. With your host, Chuck T.
Hey people, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Thanks for putting us in your ears today. This is the Middle Age Crazy Podcast, the show that proves being an adult does not have to suck. I'm your host, Chuck T. I appreciate you tuning in today. As always, I'm going to say I'm excited for the show. We've got a good one planned for you. Our first ever studio guest. So I recorded it right here in person this time instead of the telephone. I think it worked out. We're going to be talking to Matt Smith, aka Toby Diligent, all about local hip hop. But hey, how about that last episode with Lucas Hunt? Was that an interesting story or what? I'm getting a ton of great feedback. Small town Iowa guy makes it to New York City, becomes a published poet, ends up becoming the new face of charity auctioneering. It's kind of crazy and out of hand. If you haven't heard that episode, go back and listen to it. I highly suggest it. And for a good follow on Instagram, follow his auctioneering page, Hunt Auctioneers at Instagram. You'll see him rubbing elbows with some fancy people. Very impressed. Proud to say he was my original radio partner. So you know the drill. The show's all about interesting people telling their incredible stories, and we drop the shows on the 1st and 15th every month. Doesn't matter what day of the week, 1st and 15th every month, we've got the new stories for you. A little bit of house cleaning. If you need to get a hold of us, middleagecrazypod@gmail. Of course, we're on all the social media platforms at middleagepod. Well, not all of them. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at middleagepod. We have a YouTube channel. I haven't really done much with it, but we're on those. You should come find us. And I'm looking at my notes here. Yeah, I got notes here. It says beg for follows and interactions. How pathetic is that? But that's the way it is. That's the world we're living in. Social media is king. Come and find us on social media. Give us a follow. I promise we're going to follow you back. And tell a friend. Tell an enemy. Tell your grandmother. Tell an ex-girlfriend you still kind of like about our show if you think we're cool. And if you think we suck, feel free to give me a call on the hotline, 515-478-3412. The hotline's always open for feedback, good or bad. We're always open to ideas on people we can have on the show. And we're always trying to get you involved. Also, I have some connections to one of the greatest life coaches in the world right now, Crackadon. So if you need some life advice from the legendary Iowa rapper, he's a legend. Most people have never even seen him. He's like the Bigfoot of Iowa rap. He gives perfect life advice. Give us a call at the hotline, 515-478-3412. I'm dying to play somebody on the show. We've gotten a few calls, and they haven't really worked out. So give us a call, say something cool. I want to put you on the show. Let's do this. All right, enough screwing around, enough beating around the bush. Let's get to the main event, the headliner. My man, Matthew Smith, a.k.a. Toby Diligent, local here in Des Moines, Iowa, came over to the studio, and we chatted about being a local hip-hop artist, what it's like being in your mid-30s, having a full-time job, but also having that passion for making music, and it just happens to be hip-hop. And local hip-hop is near and dear to my heart, because when I started making music some 25 years ago, that's what I did first. I was in a hip-hop group, and I've been in and out of a hip-hop group for about 20 years. Not really super active, but I've played the gigs, I've hung the flyers, I've met the people, and it does take some effort to get out there and make it happen and play gigs and get people to come see you. And it's interesting trying to balance that, with a full-time job. A lot of people I know have full-time jobs to pay for their rapping habits. So obviously this is a really good conversation because Matt and I have experienced a lot of the same things, but he's way more successful than I ever was making music. The dude does his own tours, he puts out his own albums, he built a recording studio in his basement. It's amazing. I could only imagine how good he would be if he had all the time in the world to dedicate to the art, because I love the beats he makes. He's got some great tunes, and his solo stuff and his group stuff's really good. So we're going to talk about his Bandcamp page where you can check it out. So you're going to find him on Twitter, you're going to find him on Bandcamp, you're going to check out the music, and you're going to send me an email and says, Chuck T, thank you for introducing me to Toby Diligent and Pretty Girl Hate Machine. All right, enough of me kissing his ass. Let's get to the show. Boom.
My name is Matthew Smith, also known as Toby Diligent from the group Pretty Girl Hate Machine. I'm 35 years old and I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. And we are here to talk about local hip hop.
Hey there, welcome to the show. It's time for the interview. The whole reason why you're here today, we're talking to my man Matt, aka Toby Diligent, talking about local hip hop in the Midwest region, specifically Des Moines, Iowa, but we'll span out a little bit. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty darn good. Welcome to the show and welcome to the studio. You're my first official studio guest.
That's awesome, man. I'm honored. It's a dope studio. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. I appreciate the compliment. Don't mind the dog who's kind of hanging out and practically sleeping in your lap.
Yeah, he's my buddy over here.
Yeah, Benito was making some noise. We had to get rid of the pillows, but he seems to be nice and cozy up against Matt today. So
yeah, we've already bonded pretty well.
Well, like I said, thanks for joining us today. And if you're familiar with the show, I like to start off every episode the same way. Mm-hmm. If you got something new to plug or social media, things like that, I want to get the business end out of the way to make sure we cover it.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything that's super new. I just put out a music video about a month and a half ago.
Okay.
For my song Implode. It's off my latest record, Bad New Days, which came out last May. So you could find that on YouTube. Just search Toby Diligent Implode. Also, I have a show coming up in Des Moines, Friday, March 13th, at Lefty's, and that's going to be with Mac Lethal, so I'm pretty excited about that as well.
Mac Lethal, I have yet to see him in concert, but I know a lot of people that have seen him, and they say he puts on a hell of a show.
He really does. I've seen him probably 5 or 6 times. It's been a long time. I actually learned about him from seeing him live back in 2005, opening for Atmosphere. That was the first time I ever heard him.
Okay.
And he won me over at his show.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Actually, go ahead. I forgot what I was going to
say. Because I interrupted you.
Yeah, you're fine.
I was going to say, is that one, because didn't Rhymesayers put out a record of his once?
Yes, okay. That was before the record had come out.
Okay.
He was on the label and he was touring with Atmosphere. They were like building him up to prepare for that release, I believe.
Okay, cool. And who else is on the bill with you guys for that? I think you already said, but I already forgot.
Besides Mac Lethal, I'm not sure. It's a handful of other locals who I'm not too familiar with, but okay. This is a rare event that a lot of times when these shows come through, I'm the one that has booked them in and is promoting them. But in this case, I was just asked to be a part of it. So I really don't know a whole lot about the lineup.
All right, cool. And that's some of the stuff I want to talk to you about today. Booking, preparing, just trying to be a local artist and trying to get, I know you do tours and you go outside the city, but you have a full-time job, you have a home you have to pay for, everyday life. I sometimes say that, you got the job to feed the rapping habit.
Right.
But it's not all fun and games.
No.
Because I've been there. I know a lot of people have been there. It takes a lot of hard work to get out there and perform and put records out. So I definitely want to talk about that today.
Yeah.
But before we get too far into that, let's talk about the new album.
Okay.
Because you actually put out 2 new albums at the same time. Let's talk about those. Bad New Days. I dig that, the solo project. But talk about the other one as well, the compilation album.
Okay, that's a record called Indie High, and that was me and my homie. He goes by LG Dupree. That was him and I. We produced that together. We just got together for probably 6 months or so and made a bunch of beats. Just started making beats. It was initially just going to be a short EP with me and Gadima and him, but as we kept going, we just kept having more beats, and we're like, let's make this a full length. And then we were like, well, we don't necessarily want to rap on every track, so maybe let's get another person or two involved. And then it turned into us having, I think we have 14 MCs on there.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, over 12 beats. And it's just a bunch of our favorite local rappers from Des Moines. And there's a couple from out of state and a couple from other parts, but mostly it's mainly Des Moines artists.
So you got some heavy hitters on the record, in town and outside of town. Tell me a little bit about your man, Teyamo Denku. He's popping up on the radar for me. I know some of my homies have seen him. Tell me a little bit about your interactions working with him.
Yeah, that dude is probably one of the hardest working indie rappers that I know. I met him probably in 2015 at a show in the Quad Cities called Junetopia that my dude Errol used to book. He used to book a lot of shows for us out there in the Quad Cities, but we met through there, and ever since then, we've been trading shows back and forth. I bring him to Des Moines. He brings me to Milwaukee, a few other places, Iowa City. I've had him there. I think we've done Waterloo. We've done Sioux City, and then I've done Madison, Oshkosh, Milwaukee with him. So we've had a pretty good relationship trading shows over the past 4 or 5 years. And yeah, that dude, I mean, he's the textbook definition of an MC. He's just extremely thorough with it. He's crushing every show. He's always, I mean, he's one of the best freestylers I've ever heard. he does a thing at the end of every show where he has the audience just give him a bunch of words and just goes off the top with that. And he's really impressive with that.
Damn.
Yeah.
How's the Wisconsin scene as far as local goes?
It's pretty cool, man. I've had a couple good shows there in Milwaukee. Oshkosh has always been fun too. And Madison's actually really, really cool.
Okay, I can imagine that. The college town.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw Beastie Boys in Madison one time, so I can.
No shit.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, it was the second time I saw him, and this is about you. I don't want to turn this into me, but I want to tell a quick Beastie Boys story.
Go ahead, man. I'm actually in the middle of reading their book right now, and I'm fucking in love with it. It's incredible.
I don't know if you noticed, I have it sitting on my shelf out there.
No, I didn't.
As well as Motley Crue's The Dirt, and I haven't cracked either one of them.
Really? Oh, man. I mean, you got to read the Beastie Boys book,
Yeah,
bro.
it looks phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
Because there's like recipes and shit in there. It's like all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm probably about a quarter into it. I think I'm on page like 150, and there's like 500 and some pages.
Yeah, it's a beast, man.
Yeah, but man, it's just so cool. Just them describing just their entire come up and everything that they did in such detail, and oh man, there's just so many cool little factoids in there. You'll really dig it.
I just got to make time for it.
Yeah.
I've seen them twice. I saw, and this is on the tour. It was the Hello Nasty tour with the last Tribe Called Quest tour and Money Mark and all that.
Oh, man.
Saw them in Chicago, got completely annihilated with our crew, barely remember anything. This is right about when I was like, man, I need to stop partying at shows because I was forgetting them. And then it went all the way till, I think it was like, when did I move to Minnesota? Like 04, 05.
Okay.
I saw him in Madison. Talib Kweli opened, which was tight.
Nice.
But the opener was a guy doing a cat show, like cat acrobats and tricks. Anyway, I had 2 beers the entire night, and I remember most of it. And so I was glad I got to see Beastie Boys again, and actually be able to remember it, because the one with Tribe Called Quest was, I was like 22 at the time, so it was kind of a mess.
Yeah. That would have been amazing, man. Beastie Boys and Tribe Called Quest. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm known to get people on sidetracks, so I'm going to try to get us back.
Right on.
So tell me, as far as making the indie high, you said you started with Gadima, who's kind of a legend here in Des Moines.
Yep.
Who are some of the other notable ones that you think really stand out on the record, and maybe you haven't had a chance to work with a ton, but this was a really good opportunity to work with them?
Definitely Depths. This is the first time I've ever worked with Depths, and I've been a fan of his for a long time. He's a beast, man. He's one of the best in the state, in my opinion, and he definitely delivered on his verse on the album. And I would say also Bobby Vuelo and Equinox. The track that they made is maybe my favorite on the album. And
Nice.
those dudes are 2 of my favorite younger MCs in the city, and they both absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, EXO put me on to Bobby, because they did a record together, right?
Yeah, Controlled Substance.
Yes, I like that record.
Yeah.
Cool, because he's pretty young, right?
I believe he's probably 24 now.
Okay, cool. So some of the younger cats, that's
Yeah,
good.
I met that kid when he was 18 or 19, so I've known him for a minute now.
Okay, excellent. And I can't lie, I was way late to the game on Depths.
Yeah.
I was way late to the game.
Yeah.
But that show, I came and saw you guys
Yep.
recently play. That's the only time I've ever seen him live.
Yep.
After the show, connected on Facebook and stuff. He's a good follow. And I've kind of gotten into his stuff too.
So was that when you learned about him? Was then?
No, I had seen some videos here and there, but I had
Okay.
never seen him live, you
Yeah.
know, and I had only heard a few songs and watched some videos online. So that was kind of my first like real experience. So
Yeah.
So you put out 2 records at the same time, which has to be a massive pain in the ass, because I mean, I think putting out a record is a pain in the ass. I couldn't imagine doing 2 at once.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel kind of bad doing it actually, because I feel like Indie High didn't really get the promotion it deserved from me, because I was so focused on trying to promote Bad New Days.
Okay.
And I tried promoting both of them, but it's definitely, it's a hassle trying to promote 2 albums at the same time.
Yeah, trying to sell music is period. Like we were talking about before we even got on here, selling music's a pain in the ass. Period.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. I'm on your Bandcamp.
Uh-huh.
What's the Bandcamp again, so people can check it out?
PrettyGirlHateMachine.bandcamp.com.
You got a handful of stuff here. Let's walk through it, because I'm lucky enough. I know I kind of had a small kind of built-in listening base already for the show through Facebook and stuff like that. And there's quite a few people that aren't, I would say, as in touch with making music and things like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, especially when you're on the independent scene. You have your own studio. You produce yourself. you want to make a new record. What's step one? I want to make a new solo record. How do you even get the shit rolling?
Step one is just sitting down, listening to records and making beats usually. Maybe every now and then I'll have an idea for a song already in my head, or I have some lyrics written that I start out that way and build it that way. But generally it's just hanging out and making beats, just vibing in the studio and seeing what I come up with that way.
And do you basically write a song based off a vibe you get from the beat?
Yeah, I would say, the sound or the melody that I hear in a beat definitely will kind of give me a certain energy or vibe that I end up putting into the lyrics.
Now, let me ask you this. It's time to start a new record. Do you go out and dig a bunch of crates for a bunch of new sounds? Do you have some stuff you have laying around? Hey, I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get essentially the building blocks to get it rolling? Because if you're doing sample-based music, you need a lot of fucking records.
Kind of a mixture of both. I mean, I'm always, looking to grab new vinyl to sample from. But at the same time, there's a lot of shit in my collection that I'll go back to that because I'll feel like I missed something or I didn't use something properly or something like that. And then also I just have a whole bunch of sounds within my program. It's called Ableton Suite, which is Ableton Live with a whole bunch of sound in it.
Okay.
So I've always got those sounds to build from too with MIDIs and stuff like that.
When you're digging crates, how many records do you have to buy before you get one that's got the killer break or the killer sample?
That's
on average, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, shit, man. You could get lucky and get one on the second record, or you could go buy 20 records and not find shit. It's just it can go either way. It's a luck of the draw type situation. Generally, if I go out and buy a lot of cheap records, a lot of dollar records and stuff like that, because quantity over quality sometimes with vinyl.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. If I go out and buy 15, 20 records, I'll usually score on 3 or 4 of them at least usually. So
okay,
it's pretty good average with them.
Now, do you sit down and actually listen to the entire record front to back, or do you kind of skip around?
I try to, but I usually end up skipping around. That's why I go back to records, because it's like, I don't know if I listen to this whole thing or I need to give this more attention or something like that. And it sucks because then you'll forget where you were with records. So you're always, it's just kind of, for me, it's a whirlwind of what did I sample from this? Have I heard this whole thing? And I'm always just going back to records like that.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're not logging them as you go. Like I took a break off of this track, off of this record.
I really wish I need to start doing that. And it's actually a goal of mine this year to go through like as much of my vinyl as I can, maybe catalog some things and get rid of some of my vinyl that I know I'm not going to need anymore and make way for some new stuff, and also just for some space, because I have a lot of records sitting around taking up space, and I know that I could get rid of a decent amount of them at this point.
Records are such a pain in the ass.
I know, right?
And I have several hundred out there myself, strictly from listening purposes, but I've had to move those twice in the last 10 years, and fuck that. How many records do you have?
Oh, man, a couple thousand.
Damn.
Yeah. I got my garage is full of records just on the shelves. Instead of like tools, there's records.
That'd be my go-to.
Yeah. So, but a lot of them are, just a lot of them were given to me by friends that didn't want them. And like I said, a lot of them were cheap dollar records or cheaper. And it's a lot of stuff I really don't need to have. There's definitely a good amount of them that I'm going to keep, but there's a good amount of them that can go as well.
Do you keep any for listening purposes, or is it strictly for beat making?
No, I listen to records quite a bit too.
All right, cool. Now, when you're out hunting for records, do you have a strategy, or is it just kind of whatever looks cool? Or are you one of those guys like, I need this label from this year and this producer?
I do kind of look for years, sometimes labels, but other than that, I look at covers a lot.
Okay.
Usually, the best scores I can find in the dollar section usually, and I usually mid 60s through mid 70s is usually where I like to live in terms of the years that I go for. But every now and then you'll find some cool shit on an 80s record too. So
okay,
yeah, you never know.
You ever seen that show on YouTube, Rhythm Roulette?
Yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 episodes.
That show blows my fucking mind when they have to go and randomly pick 3 records and then make a beat. Mm-hmm. It's oh god, like
I think it was Ninth Wonder was one of the episodes I saw, and I can't remember the other one. But yeah, it's a dope show. I need to watch more of them.
It kind of blows my mind being able to have that skill set. Like we were talking before we got on, I dabbled in sample-based music and I was terrible at it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the gripe sometime I have with people that don't understand hip-hop when they're like, oh, it's just easy. You're just talking over someone else's music. I'll put a skill set of learning an MPC up against learning that bass over there. You know what I mean? How long did it take for you to feel confident in making your own beats, or have you been making the beats yourself from the beginning?
Yeah, I pretty much have. I started making beats a little bit before I started rapping.
Okay.
And Doug, the other dude in Pretty Girl Hate Machine, made a lot of our beats too. So it was always him and I making the beats. I'm always growing with it. I feel like now I'm really at the point where I'm finally starting to make decent beats. I'm still learning. Like, I feel like some of the stuff I've put out, it's good, but it's there's always somewhere to grow to.
If you make a batch of 25 beats, how many do you actually use?
Oh man, probably 5.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
Are you that picky, huh?
Well, it's not even that I'm that picky. It's just that I make a lot of beats and don't write enough rhymes, man. I have a lot of beats that have songs that are 30-50% done. Shit that should have been finished because I was digging it. And I mean, we have probably 2 more Pretty Girl Hate Machine records that could have came out if we would have just finished certain songs and shit like that. And there's all this stuff on my computer that's 7 years old, 3, 4, 5 years old that I was just like, fuck, why didn't we put that out? And a lot of the beats I may still use at some point.
Well, I mean, if they're good, I mean, they'll last.
Yeah.
Especially a good hip hop beat's timeless.
Yeah, like on the Bad New Days record, there's probably a couple beats from 2013, 2012 on there.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you go song by song when you're making a record? Or do you just try to work out a handful at a time? What's the process go? Or is it just, I got a beat, I'm going to make this song, and then I'll do the next one?
Yeah, usually I'm just trying to make songs, and then eventually once I have a handful of songs or 10 songs or something, I'll start trying to see if they can fit together, how they can fit together, which way they sound best. Is there any cohesion here? Do I need to make some different songs? And just kind of go that way. I don't have a formula where I'm kind of thinking of the whole thing all at once yet. I do want to make a concept album like that, but really most of my albums have just been a collection of songs that I've made over the course of time, and I thought ultimately sounded all right with each other.
How many total records have you put out?
I think it'd be 5 total, with 3 with the group and then 2 solo.
Okay.
And then I had an EP many years ago before that with a different group, so I guess you could say 6. I guess 7 with the Indie High record. So
okay,
yeah.
When were you feeling along the lines of this for Bad New Days? Like, okay, I've got a collection. Like, how many songs did you have ready to go before you're like, all right, this is going to turn into an album? Where you start feeling like this is going to be Bad News Days. This is what it's going to be all about.
I'd say maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the title of the album?
It's the last song on the record, and it's kind of a play on Good Old Days.
Okay.
Yeah, which is kind of that song is kind of a depressing song. It's just kind of me not feeling about the greatest about my life at a certain point.
Yeah.
Just reflecting on new times and how things aren't quite how I thought they would be, or how they could definitely be better for me.
Now I see you only you got 12 tracks long and only got a couple guest verses.
Yeah, actually the HB to Kang, he's just on the hook on that one. So
okay.
Yeah, the Doug is the only guest verse on the record.
Okay. Was that done by design? You wanted to keep the record mostly yourself, or that just kind of happened?
Yeah, that's just kind of how I am. I don't really go into a record thinking I need to have a feature on it. If it happens organically, that's completely cool. But I'm generally a pretty introspective writer, and a lot of the shit I do solo just really is just kind of with myself in mind. I guess it's not really something I'm looking to be a collaborative effort. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm not a super big fan of a ton of collabs on a record. Because sometimes it gets straight up fucking lazy.
Oh, definitely.
If you want my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I always kind of liked the Atmosphere. Very rarely did it. And so when they did it, it felt special.
Yeah.
Because when you have a record, half of them got dudes on it, it doesn't feel special.
Yeah.
Unless it's a compilation.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless a compilation record like the one with me and Dupree, where it's not one person's album with a bunch of features. It's different MC on every track. It's a producer's album with different MCs. In that case, that's dope.
And compilations have their own kind of set of challenges, I would say. Like, I've only been involved in one that I produced a way long time ago. Instead of you being the only talent, now you're kind of essentially leading the way for a group of people. What are some of the challenges you come into when you're the producer, it's your project, and you're essentially hiring talent to, in a sense, to come be on your project?
You can't be as selfish as you want to, I guess. You have to kind of think of what's best for the record in terms of, everybody's sake, in terms of instead of just yourself thinking about, how is this going to end up for me? You got to take into account each song is a different personality and a different point of view, and you just got to figure out how that's going to fit together in the best way possible. And it might not necessarily be the way you see it or the way you want it, but you have to take input in from other people and work together that way.
How'd you deal with all the schedules? Because I can only imagine what it's like getting this many rappers over at specific times to do shit.
Yeah.
That couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, we were busy every weekend for a while. And, a couple times cats had to reschedule and all that, which, that's how it goes. We all got lives and shit. But it's definitely a little bit of work getting 12, 14 different cats in there to record. But we just grinded away. We're in there every weekend, having another person come through every weekend, and eventually we got it done.
That's pretty sweet. So were you and Dupree together for every session when you were recording?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Tell me a little bit about your studio. Let's paint a picture. I've seen the studio before. Tell the audience, because I was pretty impressed with you got a sweet mic booth. It's got a window. It's got the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Walk us through actually putting a booth together, because I remember watching it over the course on Instagram. And I am not fucking handy whatsoever. So I couldn't even process doing that. Like hanging up the soundproofing shit was a pain in the ass in here. So tell me a little bit about building a studio. How'd you go about doing it? And
I had done it before. This was the third one that I had built.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And I've always kind of done a lot of hands-on stuff. I've got a few different construction-based jobs that I've worked over the years.
Okay.
So I kind of got that in my background. Just having the know-how to do that is pretty helpful in itself. When I finally bought a house, it's been 2 years now. I definitely wanted to put a studio in it, so I just took the basement and just kind of laid out how I wanted it to be. I wish it was bigger, but I just worked with the room that I had, because I was also trying to build a little fitness room on the other side of it, so I'd rather have the whole space, but I had to separate it into two spots. But we got a nice mic booth in there. I'm happy with how it turned out, and it does the job, so...
Well, it seems to be like kind of a popular spot in town.
Yeah.
Like people like, oh, I'll swing by and whatever. I've just noticed on Facebook and stuff that it seems like you got MCs over quite a while.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know. Ever since I've got involved with the hip hop scene, I've always been around a lot of rappers. So they're usually at my house, whether or not they're making music or just chilling. So
the scene here is cool. I mean, because I was kind of foreign to it, because when I was doing stuff, it was in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, and I just hadn't come down here. But everyone's been fucking awesome. Everyone's been very welcoming and just like, yeah, this is what we do, and it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, Des Moines, it's a cool city, man. It's got a bigger hip hop scene than a lot of people would think, and it's continuing to grow and grow. I mean, there's a bunch of new kids today that I really don't even know a whole lot about, and there's just more and more names every year that keep popping up, and it's really a vibrant and growing scene right now.
I just wish there was more places that were doing gigs.
I know, right?
Because besides Lefties, Woolies,
Vaudeville,
Muse. Who else does fucking gigs?
There's the Des Moines Social Club had been doing gigs at the basement there for a while. There's a new place that I haven't played yet, but I really want to. It looks cool. I think it's called XBK Live.
Okay.
I've seen that they've done a rap gig or two there, but yeah, throughout my 10 years of booking shows in this town, it's always been Vaudeville Muse has always been the home base by far. That's where we started. That's still where we play most of our shows in Des Moines, and that's my home court. Lefties Live Music has always been awesome too. We've had that spot. I think it opened in 2014 or 15, so we've had that for a while now.
Okay.
A lot of shows there, and like I said, the Des Moines Social Club, a bar there called the Basement, where they put quite a few shows on there for a while. And Woolies, of course, is like the premier venue in town. I've played a handful of shows there, but we don't play there a lot because we don't we don't draw that many people, so we don't really have a need to.
Okay.
I would love to play there, as often as possible, but it's just not. We don't need a 700 cap room, so we don't play there too often.
Oh, no kidding, man. Vaudeville. I went there a long fucking time ago. Like I remember seeing
some classic shows there, man.
I'm pretty sure I saw Aeon Gray open for Ghostface and Raekwon once.
Really?
Maybe. Don't quote me on that.
At the Muse?
At the Muse, yes.
That's insane. I remember seeing Ghostface at House of Bricks, probably in 2006.
Okay, this was probably before that.
Wow.
Yeah, this was before that because it was because without getting too far into it, because that's when Aeon was working with my buddy Aaron, and he was in town, and I came into town, and blah, 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 blah.
Is that the A+9 guy?
Yes.
Right on.
And so I came to town to see him and go to the show and stuff, and I think I was living in, probably just got to Minneapolis, so 04, 05.
Okay.
I don't know. I've seen Ghost.
That was when I first learned of Aeon Gray as well, about that time.
Yeah, I played a couple of gigs with him way back. We're from the same area. His older brother and I were on the high school radio station together, so
Okay.
I've kind of known him for a while. But
Right on.
I was going to mention it because I was really impressed that Vaudeville was getting acts like that. But I've seen Ghostface and Raekwon twice, and I thought they were terrible both times.
Really?
I thought they just, at least, I don't necessarily remember that one as much, but I saw them in Arizona once, and they were like 3 hours late, and they were fucking terrible.
Yeah, I fucking hate when rappers or any musician does that, when they're fucking just make you wait forever. It's so annoying.
Yeah, because then like half the club had left.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally,
People are angry.
People were angry, and it was fucking terrible. So
yeah, it's disrespectful.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I guess it must be a big time thing. Any gig I've ever played, I'm like, can we get this thing fucking over
right.
with? You know?
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Let's talk about gigs, because one, when you're doing it independently, especially like you don't have a manager,
Yeah.
right? You don't have anyone managing you or doing anything, so you have to set it all up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's let's first start with local shit.
Yeah.
Talk about the process of finding a local venue and getting in the door. I think sometimes people that, one, aren't in the scene like this, or just don't know local music. One, you can't just walk up to a bar and say, I want to fucking play here.
Right.
And even in this day and age, it's not super easy to book a rap show either.
Yeah.
Because there's not tons of places wanting to book rap shows. So talk about connecting with some local people and just getting into these local clubs.
Well, the Muse was where I first booked, and I had been going to shows there for probably 6 or 7 years before I played my first gig there.
Okay.
So I was very familiar with the place and just kind of the fact that locals could play there and that sort of thing. I just remember just going to their website, and from the way I've booked a lot of shows, most venues will have a website and it will have a contact section, and usually it'll say for, show inquiries, blah, 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 contact booking at saidvenue.com or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was how I got started there, was just went to the website, got the email address, and contacted the venue and was like, hey, my name's Matt. I'm in a group interested in playing a show. And they actually got back to me, which I was kind of surprised by.
No shit? Okay.
Yeah. We just kind of started from there.
What was the first venue played here in town? Was it Muse?
It was the Muse.
Okay. Do you remember the first lineup?
Yeah. It was Pretty Girl Hate Machine, Ryan Nixon.
I love Nixon.
Yeah, Nixon's the homie.
Yeah.
Yep, he's been in this with me since the beginning. Ryan Nixon, my homie MC Genetics, who was once in a group called Unidentified Suspects. They were a big Des Moines group 15, 20 years ago.
Okay.
Yep. And then a band called the Renegades of Sound, who had a couple of homies of mine in that band.
Interesting. So Pretty Girl Hate Machine was the first group you were out, or first essentially project you're out doing shit with? Or?
Well, yeah, I was initially in a group called High Caliber when I was 18, 19, but we never played shows with that and never took that too seriously. So I did a few open mics and things like that before we did a Pretty Girl Hate Machine show, but the first time I actually took shows seriously would have been Pretty Girl Hate Machine. Okay.
Were you releasing music solo before you and Doug hooked up?
No.
Okay.
I did an EP, like I said, with the High Caliber, which was me and my homie Chris. We did a 4-track EP, and that would have been the first thing I released, and the second thing would have been the album with Doug.
So how well did the first gig go?
It actually went really well. It was packed.
Really?
Yeah. I wish I could draw crowds like that these days, man. We probably had 150, 175 people in there.
Nice.
Yeah. We were really fucking nervous. We had been rehearsing for like 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. We were really nervous, and it was really packed, but it couldn't have went any better. Like we did a pretty good job and just had a blast, and everybody that was there was really into it. It was a pretty memorable show for us.
Tell me about it, because you said we rehearsed for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And I know some people listening are like, oh, if you're in a band, of course you rehearse. But how do rappers prepare for gigs? I remember before my first gig, it was about the same. Like, it was almost like 6 months of just preparing, and we had a DJ and all that stuff. Talk about, you guys aren't necessarily playing guitars up there, but you guys are playing together. So how do you prepare? Did you have a DJ?
We did have a DJ.
Because I like the classic 2 MCs and a DJ is my favorite setup.
Yeah, mine too. That's what Pretty Girl Hate Machine was 2 MCs and a DJ. So yeah, it was basically, I mean, we'd have to be in sync with him, and we were still, a lot of the songs we wrote were new at the time, so we were still learning our lyrics, getting them cemented in our brain, and still didn't know them by heart entirely yet. So we were just going through that, making sure we had everything down, and just getting in sync with our DJ Joe, Jay Fresh, and just wanting to make sure that we were going to have our bases entirely covered when it came time to do it in front of people. So yeah, just a lot of practicing at the beginning, but yeah, it came together pretty well for us.
I've never seen you guys play live. I've listened to the music or whatever, but was your guys' style, was there a lot of, how can I put this? Were you guys just taking turns, or was there a lot of overdubs, joining in on each other, sharing lyrics and stuff like that?
Yeah. On record, it seems more like just taking turns, but definitely at the live show.
Yeah, that's what I mean when you're playing live.
Yeah, we definitely back each other up and accent certain parts of the songs and on the choruses, a lot of back and forth like that.
How much do you organize with the DJ? Obviously, your set list, these are the beats or whatever, but like I said, I've never seen you guys live. Did you include the DJ doing any stuff in between? Any kind of crazy samples or sounds? Like what'd you have going on with the DJ?
Our original DJ was very involved with it. Like he would have kind of his own little part during the show where he would do his thing, but he would also incorporate certain scratches and certain samples in and out of certain songs, and he had his whole thing going on back there. So he was very much a part of the set and very, very incorporated in it.
Because that's my favorite one. I mean,
me too.
Because somehow along the line, the DJ has become lost in this entire process.
Yes,
which blows
and it's
my
a bummer,
mind.
man.
But a couple good MCs with a fucking ridiculous DJ I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
We always try to include our DJ as much as possible. Open up with something, throw something in the middle.
Yeah.
Or just fucking surprise us with something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's always been my favorite part of it too. And it is sad that you don't see it a lot these days, but that's what we always strive for that.
So you're preparing to perform, but you got to get some people to the venue too. Right. So is this first show? Are you guys headlining? You guys opening? How's this all? Where do you fit into this?
We were headlining that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, ballsy. First show?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, at that time, we were, we were in our early 20s. I was probably 23 or 24 at the time. Doug was 21. But we were pretty big partiers and drinkers, so we just had a lot of people that we kicked it with.
Yeah.
So it was basically like we were throwing a party, but we're just going to be up on stage rapping as well as drinking with all you guys. So, with that, it brought a decent amount of people in there.
Dude, fuck, that explains the beginning of our shit too. When we started, it was like, hey, we're throwing a party, but we just happen to be doing some rapping and stuff.
Exactly.
It's cool because you get to include your friends that perform and stuff like that. So obviously the first one is going pretty well, but you have to sustain that when you keep playing gigs. What was your main focus as far as promotional tools?
I always flyered my ass off. I always had at least 1,000 flyers printed, usually 25 to 50 posters, and would just go anywhere in town where they would let me put a handful of flyers in a poster, and I'd always be on that. And then a lot of promoting on social media as well, and a lot of word of mouth.
In your opinion, how much does the social media promotion really help? Because it seems like it's almost the only way now, because I don't see flyers hanging up too much.
Yeah, you don't see it very much anymore.
And I kind of enjoyed hanging up flyers.
I did too. It's kind of like it's part of the whole process, you know. Social media, I mean, you know, it's pretty huge these days. It's a lot of people rely entirely on that, and they do well. I think it's also extremely flooded, so, you know, a lot of times I think it might just get annoying to people because they're seeing so many different things.
Yeah.
It's not going to stick out to them, or, you know, how is it going to be special to them? It's just another thing in their newsfeed that's going to fly by. It's definitely the way that things have gone.
Do you, if you're going to play a show and you have a Facebook event page set up, how seriously do you take the stats of maybes and goings and all that shit? Do you even pay attention to that?
Not so much anymore. I used to too much. I'd always be concerned with, we only got, 37 people confirmed to go. Is this gonna pop off? But anymore, it's just like, I don't worry about that anymore. I'll make the event page, put it up. If you want to, go, I'm happy to have you there. If not, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it.
Obviously, when you're making records, it costs money to get stuff out there, streaming services, if you have a graphic guy, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to put much money into promoting the shows these days since you're not doing too much flyers? Is that kind of the silver lining, is the promotion's free?
Yeah, I've actually always done, on Facebook, I've done a lot of the paid promotional posts. So,
Okay.
Because, you get however many people you have like your page, but they don't see your posts if you don't pay to promote them. So
Which is bullshit.
It sucks. It is bullshit. I've spent a lot of money on paid ads on Facebook for our stuff. So between the flyering and that, I've spent a decent amount of money on promotion.
Worth your time and effort and money?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay. When I first started the show, I paid to have some stuff posted, and it was kind of like hit or miss. Sometimes
Exactly.
I'm like, this is a bomb post or whatever I have, and they're like, it's got too many words, so no one's going to see it.
Yeah.
I'm like, even if I'm giving you money, it's still not,
It's such bullshit.
I don't understand the algorithm.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's dumb. And then it's like, a lot of times I'd be trying to post like a tour flyer that has dates on it, but it's like, yeah, there's too many letters on this flyer. It has to just be a picture or something if you want to have it be promoted. Like, you can't have any info on the photo, which is ridiculous. It's like, I'm already paying you, and this can't be what I need it to be.
Well, that's what I don't get, that it's like, okay, I'm starting a page or whatever to promote, to use Facebook to get people to see shit, and then I got to give you more money?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to go on record right now, fuck Mark Zuckerberg.
I'm with you, man. It's bullshit.
What do you prefer? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Do you have a preference?
Right now, I'd say probably Instagram.
Why?
Just because there's not as much bullshit on there.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of the complaining and arguing and just ridiculousness that you'll see on Facebook. For the most part, it's a photo site. You'll see some cool pictures, or you'll be informed about a show or something like that, but there's not a lot of the negativity that you'll get drawn into on Facebook.
Dude, Facebook's a fucking cesspool at this point.
Oh, it's ridiculous, man.
I don't want to get on some Facebook rant, but it's like, it's such a necessary evil because I'm a terrible friend because like I detach pretty easily. And so it's like, I feel like I have to be dialed in, else I won't have any fucking clue what people I know, including family, are even doing.
Yeah.
But then I go on there and I'm like, I hate everything I see.
Yep, I'm the same way. Like, I need breaks sometimes. Every now and then I'll deactivate my account for a month or two or something just to get a break from it.
Really?
Yeah, but
Never done that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, but then I ultimately will end up needing it because I have a show coming up or something, and so I have to bring it back. And I'm like, God damn it, here I am again.
And the thing is, I was toying with just being like, fuck Facebook, because I like Instagram. I love Twitter, because there's still some of the bullshit on there too, but it seems like you can avoid it easier.
Yeah, I like Twitter. I don't use as much as I used to. I probably should use more Twitter and less Facebook.
I like it, but I was about to pull the plug on Facebook, and then I'm like, I'm going to do the show. I gotta fucking have Facebook to tell the world about this shit.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Right.
I'm ready for the next one to come up.
I know, it's been a while.
There's gotta be something new, but they'll just probably buy them out and squish it.
Yeah. I don't think, what was it, Google Plus? I don't think that ever took off.
Dude, that was fucking lame.
Yeah, I never even looked into it.
I gave it a shot, dude. I gave that a shot. Tumblr. Fuck, what else? Couple of them, and no, Facebook, that's where all the crackheads are, so you gotta go.
Yeah, Facebook's been holding it down for a while now.
Tell me about one of your favorite local shows. Who's one of your local people here in Des Moines that you really enjoy playing with, or a show that is very memorable to you?
we played a show in 2011 called Hoodies for Humanity 2.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and I think there was three Hoodies for Humanity shows total. We were a part of 2 of them. But it was like a hoodie drive where we would have people, if you could bring a used hoodie to the show, you would get in for free instead of having to pay for the show. And then we would donate those to a drive at the end of the... We would leave there with 5-6 garbage bags full of hoodies, so that was always cool. But that particular show, we played with all my favorite acts on the scene at the time, which would have been Dope Click, which is Trip Shelton, Gadima, Richie Daggers, and Chris Disgusting. Neon Current, which is Ryan Nixon and Mike L.
Dude, that last record they put out was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, man, I fucking love Neon Current. I wish they would have done more.
I've only know that one record that Aeon produced, but I thought that record was fantastic.
Yeah, I think in terms of released music, there was just that, and I think they had an EP before, a couple years before that.
Okay.
But they were the homies, man, and we played a lot of shows with them, and they were dope.
All right, who else? I totally cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I got excited about Nixon again.
Yeah. And then
who else?
Maxilla Blue. Maxilla Blue was on that show, and we were always way into their shit. They were always super dope. One of the dopest acts on the scene back then. And I believe Ace, Derek Johnson from Waterloo was on that show as well.
So a little CF Waterloo representation.
Yeah, but yeah, that was always one of my favorite Des Moines shows. That was another one that was just absolutely fucking packed. That one was probably 200 people, and it was at a height in the scene for me in terms of we were still on an upswing and things were still new and exciting to me, and I felt it was a show that we had really grown at and we had done really well and just got mad vibes from the crowd. It was just one of the more fun shows I've been a part of in Des Moines.
Let's go the opposite direction because we talk about you book a lot of shows.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about a real shitty one that you were involved with or you booked or whatever. Just that one that just fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like the worst one.
Or even if you played well, but like you brought in some asshole act or just kind of, being the one that had to put the show together.
I've definitely had shows where, especially more recently, where it's been a Tuesday or Wednesday night and like fucking 3 or 4 people have come out to the show. And that's just, I don't book shows for myself or anything I'm doing unless it's going to be a Friday or Saturday, just because you're not going to get near as many people on a weeknight.
No.
But if I have a friend coming through on tour or something that wants a show, they don't always have a Friday or Saturday available. They got to work with their schedule. So if they end up wanting to book a Monday or Tuesday night, we'll do it. And sometimes it's just tough, man, and you'll just have nobody show up. And then I just feel bad because the person drove in from out of town. And yeah, and it's just a bummer when you have situations like that.
It's interesting because I'm kind of a ham, and I obviously don't mind the attention of the stage. My wife is the complete opposite, just deathly afraid of public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I say the only time I get nervous if there's not very many people there. I'd rather perform in front of 8,000 than 8.
Yeah, I'm the same. No, I'm the same. I don't know. It's like once I'm on stage, I'm just into what I'm doing. So I would way rather there be an audience than not be an audience, and it just. Yeah, it's just kind of, there's just something awkward about it when it's just a very small amount of people.
What's the weirdest venue you've played?
Weirdest venue.
Like, you ever play a barn or someone's living room or something goofy like that?
We've definitely done a handful of house shows. House shows are always, they can go either way.
They can.
Yeah, I enjoy playing house shows, but yeah, sometimes they're definitely weird. We played a pretty weird one in Milwaukee one time. Right when we walked in, there was just a bunch of people just doing lines of blow, just like right off in the corner right when you first walk in. And I was like, I'm not so sure about this.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it ended up being all right. It was just a bunch of people hanging out doing drugs. It was like, I think it was like mostly EDM shit. And then somehow we got thrown in on this bill. This was the first time we'd ever played Milwaukee back in 2012 or 2013.
How the fuck do you end up in someone's house?
I don't know. That was actually through a connection of Mike L from Neon Current. Somebody he had known in the Quad Cities hooked us up with somebody he had known in Milwaukee. And
okay.
That's how that one came together.
You showed up and played at the house party.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
But another house party that I played that was fucking amazing was this place called the Free Clinic in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Free Clinic?
Yeah. We played there on 2 different occasions, and I mean, you would have thought it was a music venue. Like, the basement was just, it was super dope down there, man. It just had all the feels of just a dive bar, just dingy venue. And it was just, the people in there were really into it. It was packed, and everybody was just there to have a good time, and those shows were extremely fun.
How do you get, when you're going to set up, because I know you've done a couple tours before where you're like, hey, I'm going out on the road for several dates in a row, and I'm going to play in Iowa and outside of town. Mm-hmm. How do you start getting those out of town gigs set up?
Either I have a lot of friends in other cities that make rap music too.
Okay.
So either I'll hit them up to see if they can help me get something booked, or I'll just reach out to the venue directly. I'll find a spot online or something, or just something I've heard about, and contact the venue and just kind of hit up their booking agent and just go from there.
How much about your music or your quote-unquote following do they inquire about? Do they say, send me a link and then let me know what your follows are on social media, all that bullshit? Or
yeah.
What do they usually ask for?
They generally want to see something like that, YouTube links, if you have a website, social media. So, yeah, they take all that into consideration. And then generally I would just try to do a door deal, which usually 75-80% goes to the artist, 20-25% to the venue, and you'll just split it that way.
Is that what your deals are mostly is door?
Yeah, there's a few cities where every now and then we'll get, $150, $200 guarantee, something like that. But most, I would say a good 60-70% of the shows we book are door deals.
And I think that's what people don't realize, because I've played nowhere near the amount of shows that you've played, but I've only had a guarantee a couple times.
Yeah.
It's really the job of the art, because the venue's obviously going to promote too, but if the fucking people don't show up, you don't fucking get paid.
Yeah.
And so when you're on the road, what's it like trying to get people from out of town? Like, you're in a new town, maybe you've never played there before. What's it like trying to get people into that venue?
I mean, a lot of it is relying on, the artist you have in that town, if you indeed have one. Even whether or not I'm booking it with an artist there or with the venue itself, you're trying to get other locals on the show, because you really need their help in that situation. And then, other than that, you can do all the promoting you can, but your reach generally doesn't get out that far. So you rely a lot on the locals there that are playing the show.
Do you find that usually they're pretty welcoming when you come and play a gig, or have you had any issues with, playing with strangers in a different town?
Not really. It's always pretty welcoming for me. In many ways, I really enjoy playing in front of a crowd that doesn't know me or has never seen me before. That's like one of my favorite parts of it.
Oh, so you can win them over?
Yeah, well, because then you're getting a legitimate response. It's not somebody that knows you or it has a certain expectation of you, or just views you. These people don't know anything, and they're giving you what you gave them from the performance is their perception of you. So it's always cool to see how that goes. And
yeah, I guess that's got to be completely organic. They're either gonna feel it or fucking not.
Right. And it's always really cool when somebody really feels it and comes up and tells you, buys the record, tells you how much they dug the set and all that. It's always really awesome. So
do you stick around, especially because if you're in a new town, you're probably in one of the opening slots, I'm assuming. If you're playing with a local guy, yes or no?
You could either way. Sometimes we will be, sometimes we'll be the headliner, sometimes in the middle. It just kind of all depends on the vibe of the show.
If you're not closing out, if you play earlier, do you still stick around and work a merch booth and all that bullshit?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I'm always trying to sell as much merch as I can out of town because, like you said, a lot of times if it's a door deal, if they don't show up, you don't get paid. So you want to sell as many CDs, as many T-shirts as you can.
Are you a big T-shirt guy?
You mean in terms of
like, do you take a lot of that type of merch on the road, or is it mostly music?
It's mostly music. We have 2 or 3 shirt designs that we bring, but it's mostly music.
Well, we all can't have M&Ms and socks like Carnage,
right? I need to up my merch game. Carnage is killing it.
We're kind of wrapping it up here. as far as time goes. What's in the near future for you as far, I mean, because you just put out 2 records a handful of months ago. That's a son of a bitch of a load.
Yeah.
Are you taking a break? Are you going to start playing some more gigs this summer? What's on the docket?
Yeah. Taking a little bit of a break from shows. Like I said, I got the one Friday, March 13th with Mac Lethal. Looking forward to that one. I'm working on a show right now for AC Alone. Are you familiar with him?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love AC Alone. I think I saw. Did you put up a poll like if who would be interested in that?
Yeah, I just put a post just to see if it
You need to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm really trying to. Right now, it's just finding a venue. Like the promoter is on board, so I'm just. Unfortunately, the Muse was booked up that night, so I've got an email into Lefties. I'm waiting to hear back from them, and then if they're not available, I'm gonna go elsewhere. But I'm hoping they are available.
Sweet.
But that'll be another late spring show if that happens. And then other than that, Teyamu Danko, who we mentioned earlier, is going to be coming through Des Moines in May, and we'll be putting an event together for that. I don't know if I'm going to be playing that one yet, but I'll be involved with the promotion of the show. Other than that, right now, Dupree and I have started to make beats for the Indie High 2 album.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're pretty heavily involved in the production process of that right now, and that'll be probably my main creative focus over the next 6 months, I imagine, and then I'll probably maybe middle end of the year start working on my new solo album.
Are you going for new MCs for Indie High 2 or going with the same group, a mixture? What are you shooting for?
We want to have some new ones for sure. We will have a couple returning members just because they're the homies that are always hanging out, so they ultimately end up making a song. But we're definitely trying to get some new ones on there, some new locals and some new out-of-towners as well.
Who do I have to slip a few bucks to get Trip on the next one?
You might not have to. That might happen. Ooh. I mean, I can't say for sure because that dude's hard to get a hold of sometimes, but we're working on it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. There's a ton of crap out there. There's so much music out there, and now it seems like you don't have to put a lot of effort to make rap music anymore. It's like when I first learned the bass, it was like it's easy to play, it's difficult to be good at. And that's where I feel hip-hop is kind of at right now, where it's easy to get into it, but it's hard to kind of stand out and be very talented.
I agree 100%.
And so definitely like what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to get a Pretty Girl Hate Machine record out of you guys, or is Doug just forever West Coast? I know he's got, because didn't he have a kid?
He just had a baby, him and his wife, about I think 3 months ago now. So, and he's got a 10-year-old daughter as well, and then they just had a boy. So I know he's pretty wrapped up with dad life right now. The plan was to make more music eventually, so I'm not going to say that we won't see another album, but it might take some time. I will say that.
Good things comes those way, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I definitely appreciate the time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming to the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Middle-aged pod studio, or I used to call my old studio Miyagi's Audio Dojo, but we don't live there anymore, so we don't really have a name for this yet.
Yeah.
But like I said, thanks for coming over doing this. If you're listening, you got to check out the Bandcamp, Pretty Girl Hate Machine at Bandcamp. There's tons of good stuff, especially if you like, dare I say, I hate to use the word classic or boom bap, but to me, you sound like hip hop. It's not all like a fucking hi-hat on the 30-second notes and some bullshit vocoded stuff, you know what I mean? So if you like good beats and raps, you guys got it, man.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to have you on again, especially since you're just down the road.
Yep.
Even if we don't have you on for a full episode, we could get you on for something to promote, whatever, because we do have a lot of local Iowa listeners because of that's where we're at. So we'll get you on to promote some shit, too.
Yep, I'd definitely be glad to come on again, so anytime.
Cool. I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for listening to Middle Age Crazy, the show that proves being an adult doesn't have to suck. Brought to you by moonsaltmusic.info. Underground and independent hip-hop for the old heads. Free downloads available now. All show inquiries can be sent to middleagecrazypod@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Middle Age Pod. Call us at 515-478-3412. Ask for Janice. Middle Age Crazy is a Greg Valentine and Clarence J. Washington production.